Part 158. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1571. Chapter 1571 Extra chapter of Xiaofeng and his wife, 99. Xia Ying just hopes that Xiaojin can be an ordinary child, at least during this childhood period, and enjoy the happiness and beauty that belongs to a child. Xiaojin matured too early and developed too quickly intellectually. Sometimes, her character would be flawed. Xia Ying doesn't want to train a second Yu Lingfeng. Because Yu Lingfeng can meet her, but Xiaojin may not. Xia Ying wants Xiaojin to grow up slowly and enjoy the beauty of life. Papa, aren't you and Mommy going to be filming for a while? You must be very busy, so Mommy won't know if I'm participating in this competition. Xiaojin seemed to have thought of a perfect strategy. Sung Suan and Yu Lingfeng persuaded him. Yu Lingfeng looked at those eyes and sighed. Although there is no age limit for this competition, Yu Lingfeng guarantees that Xiaojin is definitely the youngest player among them. Okay, but you have to promise me something. Yu Lingfeng finally compromised. He couldn't look at such a pair of clear eyes and refuse Xiaojin, just like he couldn't refuse Xia Ying. After Yu Lingfeng said yes, Xiaojin's eyes lit up instantly and she nodded in agreement. As long as he is allowed to participate in the competition, he will agree to many things, let alone just one thing. Don't take first place. Yu Lingfeng spoke very seriously. Not like a joke. Xiaojin was stunned for a moment, then lowered her head, stuck out her tongue, and smiled mischievously. I know. When Yu Lingfeng and 11 Ju taught Xiaojin how to make robots, Yu Lingfeng had already experienced the child's talent and ability. Therefore, Yu Lingfeng was very worried. Xiaojin participated in the competition and won first place. Wasn't this a worldwide sensation? A child over 5 years old won first place in a national robot design competition, which is like a fantasy. Although Yu Lingfeng knew that this was entirely possible. Put it away, don't let your mother see it. Yu Lingfeng handed the piece of paper to Xiaojin again. Xiaojin crumpled it into a ball and put it in his pocket. Then he whispered to Yu Lingfeng, then, Daddy, I will quietly sign up at night. I'll give it to you and sign it up for me. Yu Lingfeng nodded, completely unable to do anything about his son. Not long after, a fragrant smell came from the kitchen. Xia Ying walked towards the living room and said to Xiaojin, the noodles are cooked, come over and eat. Okay. Xiaojin smiled very happily, and then ran towards the restaurant. Xia Ying smiled, shook her head helplessly and said, how can this kid be so happy eating noodles? Yu Lingfeng, who was reading a book, raised the corners of his mouth. Of course Xiaojin is not happy because of the noodles. Xia Ying walked towards Yu Lingfeng again, sat down, and looked at Yu Lingfeng's reading progress. Why are you still on this page? Xia Ying frowned in confusion. I just had a chat with Xiaojin. Yu Lingfeng returns. What do you think? Is it good to watch? Do you think of anything after watching it? Do you have any memory resonances or anything like that? Yu Lingfeng turned to look at Xia Ying, who looked expectantly, and replied, I just think you fell in love with me so early. Xia Ying blushed and started to defend herself. No, that's not the case, it's just for artistic effect. Yu Lingfeng smiled, knowing everything in his heart, but he couldn't see through it clearly. Xia Ying looked at Yu Lingfeng's smiling side face, and her face turned red. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yun Suya. Chapter 1572. Chapter 1572 Extra chapter of Xiaofeng and his wife, 100. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng joined the crew, and Xiaojin was entrusted to Tanguo and Chu Shenming's home. Chu Shenming was rarely at home, and Tanguo mostly played the piano and wrote music scores at home. Sometimes she would also accept invitations to concerts, and her life was quite comfortable. However, When Tanguo saw Xiao Jin, who looked like a little angel, she came up with the idea of having a child. Whether it's a boy or a girl, Tanguo likes them all. Because she originally liked children, but Chu Shengming was too busy at work and rarely at home. Sometimes she would fall asleep when she got home. Having a child was not included in the plan at all. Tanguo thought gloomily, lost in thought. Xiaojin blinked, stared at Tanguo, and then asked, "Auntie, what are you thinking about?" Although Xiaojin should basically call Chu Shengming cousin and Tanguo cousin, Xiaoying felt that this was too troublesome and unfamiliar, so she asked Xiaojin to call them uncle and aunt directly. But sometimes Xiaojin will call Tanguo Auntie Candy. In Xiaojin's words, it's because it's cute. Xiaojin likes candy, so she also likes Auntie Candy. Well, it's nothing. What do you want to eat for lunch, Xiaojin? Can Aunt prepare it for you? Tanguo looked at Xiaojin and smiled sweetly. Xiaojin also smiled sweetly and replied to Tanguo, "Xiaojin can eat anything. Xiaojin is not picky about food." "Well, you're so good." Tanguo tapped Xiaojin's nose with her finger, smiled, then turned around and went to the kitchen to prepare food for Xiaojin. Xiaojin waited obediently in the living room, then turned on the TV and started watching animation. Not long after, Xiaojin smelled a strange smell coming from the kitchen, as if something was burnt. "What is burnt?" Xiaojin jumped down from the sofa. Before she could think about it, she heard a bang and the kitchen exploded. Then, Tanguo walked out with a dark face, her body covered in soup, and she looked extremely miserable. Tanguo looked at Xiaojin helplessly. Xiaojin patted her forehead and sighed helplessly. "So Aunt Candy can't cook at all?" Xiaojin remembered that when she came to Tanguo's house a few times before, it seemed that a servant was always cooking. "By the way, why didn't you see that servant today?" Xiaojin ran towards Tanguo and asked quickly, "Auntie, are you okay? Are you not injured?" Tanguo pursed his lips and shook his head, making himself cry. "Not injured, just mentally traumatized." Xiaojin glanced at the kitchen, it was so miserable. This kitchen may be ruined. "Auntie, you don't know how to cook, why don't you let Auntie do it?" Tanguo replied aggrievedly, "Because I'm learning how to cook recently. It seems that the effect is not significant." Xiaojin said something meaningful. "What about the kitchen?" Xiaojin asked. Tanguo responded naturally, "It's okay. I'll just call the property management company later and tell them. It seems that this kind of thing has happened more than once. Tanguo is already familiar with the road. Then let's order takeout," Xiaojin said. Tanguo nodded with a decadent face, and then said in a low voice, "It seems that I will never learn to cook." Tanguo just thought that if she gave birth to a child in the future, she would be happy to cook all kinds of delicious food for her child. Unfortunately, she could only think about it. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 1573. Chapter 1573 Extra Chapter of Xiaofeng and His Wife, 101. "Auntie, I can teach you," Xiaojin said excitedly. Tanguo was surprised, "You? How can Xiaojin, a 5-year-old kid, be taught to cook? No, can even a 5-year-old kid know how to cook now?" Tanguo began to fall into deep self-doubt. "I often watch my daddy cook, so I can teach you, although I don't know how to practice, I understand theoretical knowledge." Xiaojin looked serious and really convinced Tanguo. "Well, after the kitchen is repaired, how about we work together to cook for your uncle?" Xiaojin smiled sweetly and nodded. The day Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng came to the crew to report, the entire crew started to get excited. It was obviously a launch party, but it turned into a fan meeting for Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng. Since the descriptions in Love Across Light Years are mostly about high school and college life, the cast this time is also composed of new actors, many of whom are making movies for the first time. Therefore, many of them are fans of Xia Ying. In addition, Xia Ying has also filmed movies before. Some of Xia Ying's plot clips in The Great Doctor are often released by the acting class teacher for everyone to learn and practice. He praised Xia Ying for her queen-level performance, acting textbook and so on. Therefore, even if these emerging actors do not like Xia Ying because of her music, they will be very admired and excited to see her. Xia Ying was the national goddess who was re-elected back then. She exposed many dark histories in the entertainment industry and defeated Qiao Na and other top stars. Therefore, in their hearts, Xia Ying is the goddess when they were students. As for Yu Lingfeng, he was attracted entirely because of his appearance. In the words of the director, he has seen so many good-looking actors, but this is the first time that Yu Lingfeng has taken the aesthetics of human structure to the extreme. Therefore, when the director saw Yu Lingfeng for the first time, he exclaimed, "Isn't this the Feng Zhu in readers' minds?" The entire crew is full of confidence in the upcoming film. After the opening ceremony, many young actors couldn't help but excitedly posted on Weibo. "I met goddess Xia Ying. I couldn't tell that she was a mother. She was exactly the same as before. This woman who is always at the peak of her beauty is the real goddess. Goddess Xia Ying has not changed at all, she is still so beautiful and charming, and Yu Lingfeng is really handsome. So handsome. A secretly photographed profile of Yu Lingfeng, for you to lick the screen. The last time I go online, the internet will be banned tomorrow." Seeing some group photos or secret photos they posted, netizens also began to have a collective climax. They praised Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng for their beauty, and expressed worries about Xiaojin's appearance in the future. They felt that their parents had already put their appearance aside. Now that he has reached his peak, how should he look better in the future? From now on, let alone a girl killer, there may even be a possibility of killing both men and women. Let me say it shamelessly, my future mother-in-law and father-in-law are so beautiful. It's so shameless upstairs. Xiaojin is still young. Xiaojin, these weird aunties are so scary. Xia Ying should give birth to a daughter to inherit her beauty. Xiaojin has inherited Yu Lingfeng's handsomeness. Xia Ying's beauty cannot be extinct. I second the proposal. Xia Ying, please give birth to a daughter soon. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1574. Chapter 1574 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 102. Tang Guo'er and Xiaojin were sitting on the sofa, licking ice cream and looking at the hot searches on Weibo. Xiaojin blinked her big eyes and asked Tang Guo'er, "Auntie, does mommy have to be locked up for a long time before she comes out?" Tang Guo'er smiled, "Isn't your daddy locked up? They went to film a movie. Do you know about filming? It's the movies you watched. You can also see your daddy in the cinema in the future." Xiaojin grinned excitedly, "Is it so cool?" "Of course." Tang Guo'er replied, "There are many people on Weibo praising Xiaojin's cuteness. They say they want to steal Xiaojin home, and they also say they want to wait until Xiaojin grows up to marry Xiaojin." Xiaojin looked horrified. Are all human traffickers so blatant now? Xiaojin's young heart was hurt. Tang Guo'er was amused by Xiaojin again. How come this genius with a super high IQ can be so cute sometimes? No, it's an internet slang to express their liking for you. It's so strange. Xiaojin said, and then muttered, and when Xiaojin grows up, aren't they already old? Why should they marry Xiaojin? Tang Guo'er burst into tears with laughter. Okay, my silly Xiaojin, don't go into details. You just need to know that everyone likes your parents and Xiaojin very much. Xiaojin couldn't figure it out, so she gave up, nodded and said, okay. Tanguoer took Xiaojin to play the piano together, and then Tanguoer was surprised to find that Xiaojin was also very talented in piano. After taking Xiaojin to try other instruments, she discovered that Xiaojin's musical talent was very good. Hi! He is indeed the son of Xia Ying, who was known as a musical genius back then. As expected, the essence has been inherited. Speaking of which, this child is also very good at genetics, and he has chosen good genetics. Hey, Xiaojin, you are great, you learn quickly, do you want to learn piano from your aunt? Xiaojin thought seriously, I have learned a little bit from mommy before. In fact, I also like music very much. How about studying with your aunt? Good. Xiaojin smiled and nodded. Tanguoer exclaimed that Xiaojin is really a little genius while playing four-handed play with Xiaojin. What does Xiaojin want to do when she grows up? Tanguoer asked. I feel that with Xiaojin's intelligence, she can achieve success in whatever she does. The key lies in what he wants to do. I want to study astrophysics like my father, and then I can make robots when I have time. If you have time, you can also make robots. Sure enough, genius is willfulness. What about the music? When I'm bored, I just play music, but I haven't thought about becoming a music master. Xiaojin added, but I like Uncle Stefan's music very much. He is a very cool person. Mommy said that she would take me to Uncle Stefan to learn music when I wait for my summer vacation next year. Okay, Xiaojin can just do what she likes. Tanguoer said with a smile. At this time, Chu Shengming came back. I'm back. The magnetic male voice rang out, and Tanguoer immediately stood up from the piano, and then ran towards Chu Shengming, so fast that Xiaojin could not react at all. By the time Xiaojin turned around, Tanguoer's entire body was already focused on Chu Shengming. Why did you come back so early today? Tanguoer put her arms around Chu Shengming's neck and stared at Chu Shengming with watery eyes. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1575. Chapter 1575 Extra Chapter of Xiaofeng and His Wife, 103. Although Chu Shengming looked tired, seeing Tanguoer's smart eyes, he felt relieved a lot. He lowered his head and kissed Tanguoer's forehead, and then said, well, I came back early today. You and how are you getting along with Xiaojin? Well, I like Xiaojin very much. The only dark spot is that I blew up the kitchen again today. Chu Shengming chuckled, as if he didn't think this black spot was so unexpected. After all, this is not the first time. I told you that you don't have to cook. Don't they say that the fumes from the kitchen are bad for your skin? But I just want to learn. They all know how to cook, but I'm the only one who can't. Even the most careless Muniankai can cook. I feel so useless. If you know everything, why should I marry you? Tanguoer smiled sweetly, put her head on Chu Shengming's chest, and let out a coquettish humph. Xiaojin looked at it blankly, then shook his head helplessly and let out a sigh. Well, I thought I was the only one who was so disgusting. It turns out that all couples are so bored. It's like I wish I could grow up in the other person's body. With his hands in his pockets, Xiaojin walked towards the two of them, shaking his head and saying, do you want to pay attention to the impact? I'm still a child. Tanguoer got off Chu Shengming, then squatted down and grabbed Xiaojin's face, and said with a smile, Xiaojin is really articulate, Chu Shengming looked at Xiaojin and asked, Xiaojin, do you want to go to where your uncle works tomorrow? Last time you Lingfeng took Xiaojin there, Xiaojin had a lot of fun. Chu Shengming still did not give up the idea of leading Xiaojin to his own field. What a pity that such a genius brain is not used in drug development. What a loss this is to human development and the medical community. As for you Lingfeng's empty universe, celestial bodies, etc., It doesn't matter whether they are studied or not. It just improves human beings' understanding of the universe on a macro level. Their pharmaceutical field is more promising. Hurrah, hooray. The last time Xiaojin saw those high-tech equipment for the first time, he was very excited. Last time he didn't have enough fun and was pulled back by Yu Lingfeng. This time he had to have a good time. Xiaojin thinks that some drugs are really interesting, especially when they are tested, they are particularly magical. It's just that sometimes the mice used for experiments are a bit pitiful. What about me, now that you are all gone, am I alone again? Tang Guo protested at the side. Chu Shengming smiled and said, you must come with me. I don't have that much time to take care of Xiaojin, and I can't let Xiaojin stay with me for a day, right? Makes sense. Tang Guo said weakly, I haven't been to the institute for a long time since I resigned last time. I still remember Director Ho's eyes trying to persuade me to stay. After all, I brought it out with my own hands, and now that I have feelings for you, I can't bear to let you leave this realm like this. It doesn't matter, I don't regret it. I said at the beginning that I would quit after finishing the last project, because I still have my music dream, which has been put aside for too long, and sometimes I forget the original intention. Chu Shengming stretched out his hand, rubbed Tang Guo's head, and said, it's okay, as long as you are happy. The most important thing is to do what you like. Tang Guo nodded with faint tears in his eyes. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1576. Chapter 1576 Extra Chapter of Xiaofeng and His Wife, 104. The crew of Love Across Thousand Years has been filming for more than 4 months and has officially finished filming. Weibo also released photos of the wrapping party. When the banquet was ending, I don't know who said something, hey, why didn't the original author come to visit the class from beginning to end? Yes, it's quite strange. Didn't you say that she chose the role? She should attach great importance to this movie, but it is very strange that she did not appear in the whole process. Yes, it's okay if you don't say it, but it's a bit strange when you think about it. Xia Ying had been eating in silence while they were discussing. Yu Lingfeng approached Xia Ying and whispered in her ear, when will you announce your identity? Xia Ying's face was slightly red. She met Yu Lingfeng's gaze and frowned, keep your voice down. Yu Lingfeng smiled, this is not something to be ashamed of. I also don't understand my wife's thinking. Besides, when she was a girl, she had not been in the limelight very much, so the national goddess also did not lack the identity of a writer. Let's talk about it then. Xia Ying hesitated and continued eating. The murmurings of Yu Lingfeng and Xia Ying were shown to the young actors on the crew, who joked, Senior Xia and Mr. Yu are really in love. Even when their children are so old, they are still so sweet. The appearance is really enviable. Isn't that right? Didn't you feed a lot of dog food during filming? Haha. Xia Ying smiled helplessly, okay, stop teasing me, eat well, and go back and have a good rest. Everyone has worked hard during this period. Senior Xia, thank you for your hard work. The new actors smiled sweetly at Xia Ying. They have been in the entertainment industry for such a period of time. They don't know everything about the entertainment industry, but they still have a general idea. Over the years, I have met many big names, but a big name like Xia Ying has no airs at all. Instead, she takes great care of them and even teaches them how to act. She is really the first person in history. In the past, agents would teach me that in the entertainment industry, great emphasis is placed on the order of seniority and age, as well as the time to enter the industry, etc. When you meet a famous actor, you must be polite and don't offend him. But here in Xiaoying, there are no such rules and airs. When they act together with Xiaoying, it is like being with a close sister. Senior Xia, will you make movies again in the future? Someone asked this question, and everyone agreed. Senior Xia, your acting skills are so good, it would be a pity not to act in movies. You will definitely be a movie queen in the future. No need to worry about it in the future. I think after this movie is released, the movie queen will be stable. Goddess Xiaoying is an all-rounder. Okay, each of you, your little mouths are covered with honey. Xiaoying smiled sheepishly. If I have the opportunity in the future, if I have a script I like, I will definitely come out to act. As long as everyone doesn't dislike me, after all, compared with those 20-year-old girls, I have already run away 3 years old, no longer young. Nonsense, Goddess Xiaoying will always be a goddess, and you look 20 years old. Those A-list stars in the entertainment industry are all in their 30s, but Goddess Xiaoying, you are still young. Xiaoying's ears turned red with the compliments they gave her. Yu Lingfeng smiled lightly, looking at Xiaoying's appearance. She was quite cute. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1577. Chapter 1577 Extra Chapter of Xiaofeng and His Wife, 105. After the wedding banquet, Xiaoying and Yu Lingfeng got in the car back. It had been so long since they had seen Xiaojin, and Xiaoying missed Xiaojin. Although Xiaojin came to visit the class several times during this period, Xiaoying felt empty every time Xiaojin left. Fortunately, the filming of the drama was finally finished, and she could go home and spend some time with Xiaojin. Xiaoying picked up her phone and video chatted with Xiaojin for a while. When Xiaojin heard the news that Xiaoying and Yu Lingfeng were going home soon, she jumped 3 feet high with joy. Xiaojin, is there anything you want? Mom can help you bring it back. Xiaojin doesn't want anything, he just wants mom and dad to come back. Xiaojin said obediently. Xiaoying's eyes turned red when she heard Xiaojin say this. Yu Lingfeng leaned over and looked at Xiaojin, who was becoming more and more handsome, on the other side of the screen, and asked gently, did Xiaojin get into trouble at his uncle's house? Did he obey me? I am very obedient. Xiaojin clapped her badge and said proudly, and then held up her mobile phone to ask Tanguo in the kitchen, who had begun to cook some simple meals under Xiaojin's guidance. Tanguo is busy making the last meal for Xiaojin. Xiaoying and Yu Lingfeng will come to pick up Xiaojin soon. Auntie, tell me daddy, is Xiaojin very good? When Tanguo's face appeared on the screen, Xiaoying and Yu Lingfeng clearly saw Tanguo's red eye circles. Having lived with Xiaojin for more than 4 months, Tanguo couldn't bear to leave Xiaojin. After all, once Xiaojin left, the family became much deserted. And Tanguo really likes Xiaojin, but she doesn't know when she will have her own Xiaojin. Xiaoying frowned, looked at Tanguo distressedly, and said, little Candy, don't cry. It's not like you won't be able to see Xiaojin in the future. Besides, our house is so close, so you can come here as often as you like when you have nothing to do. Tanguo wiped her tears and felt a little embarrassed. I'm sorry, that's just me. My tear ducts are relatively developed. Don't worry, I'll be fine. Xiaojin seemed to realize something, and whispered to Tanguo, Auntie, Xiaojin will come to see you often in the future. Tanguo nodded and kissed Xiaojin on the cheek. Well, Xiaojin is so good. My aunt likes Xiaojin very much, so she can't bear to part with her. Xiaojin also likes her aunt very much. The owner of Xiaojin house, Tanguo, kissed Tanguo's neck, and then continued, although aunt is sometimes silly and doesn't look like an adult, aunt is very cute, and kind, and very caring. Tanguo was amused by Xiaojin. Xiaoying and Yu Lingfeng looked at what Tanguo and Xiaojin said, and then Tanguo suddenly thought of something and said excitedly to Xiaoying, by the way, Xiaoying, I forgot to tell you, Xiao Jinjin participated in the National Robot Design Competition and won. At this time, the screen went black. The scene was very embarrassing for a time. Tang Guo asked Xiaojin in confusion, huh? Why did you hang up? Xiaojin pursed her lips and said, Mama can't let Mom know about this. Tang Guo was puzzled and asked, why? Isn't this a good thing? Xiaojin whispered, because Mom doesn't seem to like Xiaojin being too smart sometimes. Since childhood, Xiaoying did not let Xiaojin participate in many competitions. Tang Guo suddenly understood, touched Xiaojin's head, and said with a smile, because Mommy wants to protect you. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1578. Chapter 1578 Extra Chapter of Xiaofeng and His Wife, 106. Xiaojin blinked, looked at Tang Guo, and asked, what do you mean? You'll understand this when Xiaojin grows up. Tang Guo continued, Xiaojin should know that you are the person who loves you most in the world, right? Xiaojin nodded, I know, and Daddy also loves me very much. Yes, so everything they do is for your own good. It doesn't matter if Xiaojin doesn't understand now. You will understand one day when you grow up. Xiaojin nodded thoughtfully and said nothing. As for Xiaoying and Yu Lingfeng, after Xiaoying heard the news from Tang Guo, her first reaction was to stare at Yu Lingfeng and ask him what happened. It is definitely impossible for children like Xiaojin to directly participate in this kind of competition. They can only participate with the consent of their guardians. Therefore, if it is not Xiaoying, then only Yu Lingfeng can participate. Facing Xiaoying's questioning and angry gaze, Yu Lingfeng's face gradually became embarrassed. I can explain. How do you explain? How can you let Xiaojin participate in such a competition? Yu Lingfeng sighed and said, Xiaojin begged me at that time, and I agreed, and Xiaojin promised me that he would not do anything too exaggerated. Xiaoying rolled her eyes at Yu Lingfeng, and then said, don't you know your son? With such a strong desire to win, how could he remember what you said during the competition? Yu Lingfeng held her forehead helplessly, honey, I was wrong. Xiaoying angrily ignored Yu Lingfeng and turned on her phone to search for relevant news. But as soon as Xiaoying turned on her phone, a piece of news popped up. Shock! 6-year-old prodigy wins gold medal in National Robot Design Competition. Xiaoying twitched the corner of her mouth. This is what Yu Lingfeng said. Wouldn't Xiaojin be too exaggerated? Already got the gold medal. How much more exaggerated could it be? The highest honor in this competition is the gold medal. Xiaoying showed the screen of her mobile phone to Yu Lingfeng and said coldly, I told you, Xiaojin, a person with such a strong desire to win, cannot possibly win second place. Yu Lingfeng slowly covered his eyes with his hands, not looking at Xiaoying's expression, but there was sadness in his heart. For what happened this time, it will probably take a long time for Xiaoying to forgive him. At this time, the #1 hot search on Weibo changed from The Crew of Love Across Light Years is finished to Golden Award for 6-year-old prodigy. In the just concluded National Robot Design Competition, the youngest contestant won the national gold medal. It is understood that this contestant's name is Yu Nanjin, a boy under 6 years old who is about to enter elementary school. About Yu Nanjin said she was not surprised when she won the national gold medal. She came here with the intention of winning the gold medal from the beginning. At the same time, he also said that he enjoyed this competition very much and would participate again, if there is an opportunity in the future. At the same time, netizens on Weibo began to discuss the 6-year-old prodigy. Oh my god! Prodigy! This is it? 6 years old. I remember that many authorities participated in this competition, but a kid with no hair on his head took away the gold medal? Wait a minute, Yu Nanjin, why is this name so familiar? Where did you see him coming? Ah! Is Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng's son named Yu Nanjun? Is that little genius my husband Xiajin? Some people say this is Xiajin. Is it really Xiajin? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1579. Chapter 1579 Extra Chapter of Xiafeng and His Wife, 107. So, after everyone equated the 6-year-old prodigy with Xiaojin, a series of hot searches were made, such as: the 6-year-old prodigy is Xiaojin, Yu Lingfeng Xia Ying's son, little genius Xiaojin, is Yu Nanjun Xiaojin. Xia Ying opened Weibo and saw the series of hot searches. Her face was blank, she didn't say a word, she just held up her phone to show the initiator. Now, the whole world knows that your son is a genius. Yu Lingfeng became frightened and did not dare to speak. His wife is strict and dare not speak even if she wants to. Xia Ying's Weibo also received numerous attributes and private messages from fans, all begging Xia Ying to come forward to confirm the news. Xia Ying felt like she was 2 years older than her, and she didn't talk to Yu Lingfeng anymore along the way. At this time, the WeChat group had already started discussing the news. The super handsome Qianyins in the universe, my godson can't be hidden anymore. To put it bluntly, I knew my godson was smart, but I didn't expect him to be so terrifying. No wonder I thought that when I took Xiajin to compete, the way he looked at me became more and more intriguing. I felt that one day he would lose his temper, and I would be in danger. The super invincible and handsome Qianyins in the universe, so how old was Yu Lingfeng when he was 8 years old? The invincibly handsome Qianyins in the universe, then my godson will definitely be better than his father in the future. Chu Shenming, don't underestimate 11 Ju, you must know that he is more human than human now. It is almost impossible for Xiajin to catch up with Yu Lingfeng. Chu Shenxia, what happened? Country S has begun to report that your country, China, has a genius. Is it our Xiajin? The super invincible and handsome Qianyins in the universe at Chu, aren't you at work? Playing with your phone secretly? Anyway, I am my godson. His father is so inhumane, but my godson is still cute. Group message reminder, Yu Lingfeng has removed Qianyins, the super invincible and handsome man from the universe, from this group. Qianyins. Yu Lingfeng, are you shameless? Take a peek at the monsters. What did I say wrong? It's becoming more and more inhumane. Group message reminder, Yu Lingfeng has removed Zihu from the group. Zihu? It's not my business. This is the news from Qianyins. Oh my god, I just found out about this news. My son-in-law is awesome. Chu Sensiu, when did I become your son-in-law? Xiajin is famous now, and I don't know how many girls will chase him in the future. Why do you have to be with your snot-nosed girl? Old turtle dove, tell me again. Chu Sensiu, I am telling the truth. Jun Chanai, this group has not been active for a long time. Chu Sensiu, Xiajun, aren't you on your honeymoon? Jun Chanai, I also used the internet during my honeymoon. Speaking of which, Yunanjin on the internet is really Xiajin? Chu Sensiu, how could there be a second child with such a genius in this world? My Xiajin's IQ is beyond imagination. Jun Chanai, why haven't Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng come out to talk? Chu Shenming, I feel that the atmosphere is not right. Chu Sensiu, I also think. Then the crowd became cold again. Yu Lingfeng looked at the messages sent by the group of people, and Xia Ying next to her clearly didn't want to forgive him yet. So, want clarification? Yu Lingfeng asked cautiously. Xia Ying still didn't speak. Erase their memories. Xia Ying was startled, turned around and looked at Yu Lingfeng. Is it really okay? End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 1580. Chapter 1580 Extra Chapter of Xiaofeng and His Wife, 108. Yu Lingfeng curled his lips and said, "It's just a joke, how could it be possible?" Xia Ying's face darkened, she glared at Yu Lingfeng, and pinched him firmly on the arm. "Are you still joking at this time?" Yu Lingfeng didn't dare to speak at all. It seemed that he was really angry and couldn't even laugh. At this moment, Xiaojin is also worried about this. Ever since Xia Ying found out about this matter, and since the hot searches on Weibo have come out one after another, Xiaojin has started to go berserk without saying a word. Model. Ignoring Tanguo completely, he was alone in a huge home, with his hands behind his back and a heavy look on his face. He was thinking about how he would explain to Xia Ying later, what kind of punishment he would receive, and also thought about whether he was really wrong. Now the whole world knows that he is a little genius. Tomorrow, media reporters will carry equipment and trample down the threshold of their homes. Xiaojin was tired from walking, so she sat on the sofa and thought about this matter seriously. Thinking about it this way, it seems that he really did something wrong. Tanguo has been telling Xiaojin not to think nonsense, and also said that Xia Ying will not do anything to him. Xia Ying is a sharp-tongued person, but Xiaojin doesn't listen at all. Like waiting for the judgment of fate, Xiaojin waited with difficulty for nearly an hour and a half. Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng arrived at Chu Shenming's home. Yu Lingfeng stood behind Xia Ying. It was obvious that she was being left out. Xia Ying came in with murderous intent, without saying a word, just staring at Xiaojin. Xiaojin lowered his head and walked towards Xia Ying step by step. Before Tanguo could say anything, Xia Ying said to Tanguo with a cold expression, "Let's go." Then, Tanguo saw the three of their family leaving. Xia Ying strode forward like a policeman holding a prisoner on death row. Two criminals who had committed serious crimes were following each other, their faces full of fear. Yu Lingfeng began to discuss quietly with Xiaojin. "Daddy, how will mommy punish us?" Yu Lingfeng shook his head. "I don't know, I've never seen you look so angry." Xiaojin pursed her lips. "Neither did I. Looks like it's really over. It's all mom's fault. If you hadn't signed up for me, mom wouldn't be so angry." Yu Lingfeng's face twitched. "Why did you cross the river and burn the bridge, Xiaojin? Didn't you ask me to do it? You should blame yourself. What interview you accepted has caused the media to report it everywhere." Xiaojin stuck out her tongue. "How did I know they would write like this, and I'm a child, Daddy, you can't shirk the responsibility on me. I don't care, I'm mommy's little cutie, it's all Daddy's fault." Yu Lingfeng frowned deeply and raised the corner of his mouth. "You brat, what are you so proud of? I've known your mom much longer than you, who do you think she will favor?" Xiaojin thought about it seriously. Can it still be calculated like this? But mommy will never lose her temper with Xiaojin, so Daddy, you'd better be happy for yourself." Yu Lingfeng took a breath of cold air, asking for more blessings. "You can learn the idiom of brat very well. Is it okay to be a man?" Yu Lingfeng said. "Good." Xiaojin agreed immediately and looked at Yu Lingfeng firmly. "Rock, paper, scissors, whoever loses will bear the mistake." Xiaojin's face darkened. "Daddy, can you stop being so childish?" End of this chapter.